Started, and then if anybody else comes in, then we can catch them up. So first of all, thank you for stopping by. I'm sure it was the offer of a free homework pass for your kids that brought you in here today. But I just wanted to let you know a little bit about who I am. I'm Shiri Engle. I'm a school psychologist. You might be able to tell from my accent. I actually did my training in the UK. I studied psychology. I worked in various settings in mental health for a few years. And then I went back to school and I became a teacher, and I worked as a teacher for a little while, and then I worked in educational psychology in a number of different districts, and I worked with 3 to 21-year-olds, so there was a real array. Hi, come on in, come join us. There's a sheet going around just for signing in, make sure that your kid gets a pass. I know we started a bit early. Where was I? Yeah, and then I went back to school and I studied for educational psychology back in the UK. Then I took a career break to become a mum and to move to the US. And I wasn't able to use my degree over here, so I was a substitute teacher for a little while. And then I went back to school to get my US credentials and did my EDS here. And I've been here in Madeline since September. I'm actually based here at Lloyd. I'm on the child study team. And yeah, I think it's a great school. I know most of you have come to this school. And it's been great to have your kids this year. But thank you for coming and for coming to listen about this. There's been so much research, even before COVID. It was really concerning and really worrying about the trend in anxiety in children and adolescents, and it was already very concerning. There was already a lot of talk about what was causing it, and then COVID hit, and the numbers have just gone through the roof. And they're still doing a lot of research to see how it's impacting children and adolescents, but even things like children who are not attending school because of anxiety, they are saying that the numbers have risen exponentially during COVID. So it went from, so this is the percentage of students who are missing at least 10% of the school year, has surged from 15% pre-COVID to 28% in 2022. And the more worrying thing is, post-COVID, they're not seeing that number come down. So we're still seeing how that anxiety is still affecting children nowadays. In New Jersey, specifically, chronic absenteeism, rates were 11% in 2018, and then they went up to 18%, and they've pretty much remained around that number throughout. So it's still about 71% higher than pre-pandemic baseline throughout the US. Welcome. A minute, sorry, we started a minute early. Don't worry, take a seat, take your time. Do sign in. The kids do get a free homework pass. You get some goodies on the way out, so but thank you so much. I was just introducing myself and just talking a little bit about the rates of anxiety sort of going up pre-pandemic, a lot of worrying trends in children being diagnosed with anxiety-related anxiety, depression, other illnesses, as well as just regular anxiety that's not quite diagnosable. And then post-COVID or during COVID, the numbers just got really, really big, and they haven't come down since. So we're definitely seeing an upward trend in anxiety, and we want to make sure that we're very cognizant of our students having these issues, and that we want to try and raise as much awareness as possible and put as much into place as we can to try and support them, and to recognize when we need to do something to help them more than just the regular. So, okay, we're going to start off. I do have a video to show you. I asked that you participate. You don't have to, but if you follow what this lady says, it's very, very quick. And if you can't hear in the back, let me know.
I want you to think about the last time you had a really good laugh. So you can see your blank faces I see from coast to coast. We're going to All right, we're going to do a little research because, boy, NICU's all about research and education. And so what we're going to do here is on the count of 3, if you're physically able, I'll ask you to stand. We'll not do this from a seated position. But on the count of 3, stand, and then facing me, I want you to just take a deep breath. And then I want you to put the shape of a smile on your face. For the purpose of this research, this does not have to be a real smile, okay? I will give you one last set of instructions, and then you can sit down and groan loudly, and we will give you the reasons for this research. All right, count of 3. 1, 2, 3, stand. Take a deep breath. Now put the shape of a smile on your face. And I need to see teeth. I don't care if they're yours. Okay. Now, last set of instructions. Try to make eye contact with the victim to your left or right. And now sit down, groaning loudly. This is great. This is great. All right. 2 things here. 1, now everybody has a tool. If you had to leave right this minute, please don't. But if you had to leave right now, you would have a tool. The next time you go back to work and you're sitting at your desk and you think, if one more person puts one more thing on my desk, I'm going to have to snatch them all at it. Now all you have to do is facing your entryway, doorway, or hallway, sitting or standing, just do this.
That works with kids too, who drive you crazy.
Because the next person to walk in and see you looking like this, they're going to know that now is not the time to bother you. You can play with your pain. You can be intentional. Doing little exercises. Here's another one that you may have known, you just forgot you do it. Hold out your right thumb and forefinger about an inch apart. Close your left eye. Now find someone's head across the room. Bring your thumb and forefinger together and squish. They don't even know they were hit. Oh. It's amazing. It's amazing. I want you to think about the last.
Thank you for participating in pushing that. Hopefully it gave you at least one tool to go away with, and it works really well with when kids sort of drive you crazy. You can just turn around and just give them your best smile. So our objectives for the session today is to recognize signs of stress and anxiety, mainly in upper elementary and middle school children. This is specific to them. Understand what is age appropriate in terms of what we should be seeing that's normal, but also trying to figure out what isn't and when we should start being a little bit more concerned. We want to get some practical tools that will hopefully support your child's well-being. And finally, hopefully, you will leave feeling a little bit more confident in fostering resilience and emotional regulation for your kids at home. So we're talking about both stress and anxiety. So it's really important to understand the difference. Now, there's a lot of things they have in common. So they both sort of affect your mind and body. So it could be things like headaches, body pains, high blood pressure, excessive worrying, increased heartbeat, changes in your breathing patterns, digestive issues, lots of things like that. But when we split them up and sort of look at stress and anxiety separately, and you're going to get a copy of these notes so you can take them home and look at it later as well. So stress is a normal response to a challenge or a demand. It's very short term, and it tends to, it can be productive for us. It can motivate us to do things. It's okay to be stressed sometimes. Sometimes it can be a negative thing. Maybe we don't sleep so easily because we're a little stressed. It's usually an external cause, something that you can pinpoint, a homework deadline that the kids are getting. Maybe they've argued with a friend. Maybe they have tryouts for a particular school, and it's just causing them a little bit of anxiety. But the main difference is that with stress, once the cause has gone away, the stress has gone away. So for example, they're studying for a test, the test is over, the stress is gone. They're trying out for a team, they've done the tryout, the stress is gone. With anxiety, we're looking at more of a persistent concern or a fear, and this is the important part, that interferes with daily life. And it doesn't necessarily go away when the area of concern, welcome, come on in, come join us. Hi, come on in, hi. Come take a seat if you don't mind just signing in. There's some signing in sheets. We can pass them around, thank you. Okay, so with anxiety, the difference is it's not external, it's more internal. And it usually involves a persistent feeling of some sort of apprehension. And it doesn't go away. Even when the test has gone away, you're still worrying about that test. When the tryout has gone away, you're still very concerned about it, very worried, and you just keep perseverating on it. So that's really the difference. And it's important to know that difference and to have that distinction between the two, because one can motivate us, okay, I'm going to meet the deadline, I'm going to have this, I'm going to do that. Whereas the other one has a negative effect on our day-to-day life and can keep affecting us. So for children, it can be absolutely paralyzing when anxiety takes over. So some of you may have seen Inside Out. If you haven't, I strongly recommend it. It's what I call the nodding dog movie. You kind of sit there if you have kids that age and you kind of go, like for the whole movie. It's like, dogs, I don't know, maybe it's a UK thing. We used to put in the back of the car, and then when you're driving, the dog's head would just nod. So yeah, maybe it's just a UK thing. So for those of you who've not seen it, I highly recommend it. But here's a very short clip of what anxiety, how it's depicted in the movie, how it looks like inside of Riley, who's the main character, inside her head. So she has these characters inside who are her different emotions, and what that anxiety can look like, and how it completely takes over. Come on, Riley, get it together. I'm not good enough. So she's in the middle of an ice hockey game, and she's been put on the side, and now she's having an anxiety attack. And you can see the heartbeat, the breathing, it's all changing. She's getting very flushed. And it does completely take over. Can't think or do anything else. It's just a complete whirlwind inside. Character is Joy. And this is your flight-fight response. She's completely frozen. She just can't think anymore. She can't do anything. She's just completely in the freeze mode.
Choose who Riley is. Anxiety. We need to let her go.
Come on, Riley, get it together. I'm not good at. So just like Joy stepping in to help with the anxiety, your involvement is what can make a really big difference. So the awareness is the first step that we have to try and get in there and help them with these panic attacks and those really big anxieties. So sometimes kids are not able to verbalize to us and tell us how it is exactly that they're feeling. Maybe they don't know how it is. They just know they're feeling this big overwhelmed feeling or this really big feeling, whatever it is, they might not know exactly how to describe it. So early intervention is really, really important for resilience. We want to get in there as soon as possible. And all the research out there actually shows that parent involvement is the #1 protective factor for children who do have anxiety. In other words, who are all very important to this process. So it's really important to recognize some of the signs, and we can divide the signs into 3 areas. We've got our emotional signs, we've got our physical signs, and we've got our behavioral signs. So you've got your emotional signs, which could be things like you might be seen crying often. I don't mean like once off when they've fallen over and raised their knee, but frequent crying, frequent irritability, mood swings, withdrawal from social life. Oh, I'm not going to go to that party. No, I'm not going to go over to my friends. Friends come to the door. No, I'm not going to go out with them. And always finding reasons not to be involved in social activities. Frequent panic attacks, like we saw there. Fear of the next panic attack, which is where it's sort of perseverating over the panic. Recurring nightmares, even for our children at this age. Frequent worry that interferes with daily life. I'm going to keep saying that because that's a really important thing. It's where it interferes with daily life. Your physical signs will be things like my stomach hurts, I have a headache, things that aren't, they ate something bad or they exercised a lot. So something that's not normal and it's maybe coming up a lot. Nausea, fast heartbeat, breathing, fatigue, frequent fatigue. And then you've got your behavioral signs. So things like irrational fears that they might be having, avoidance, and avoidance can be an avoidance of particular objects, it could be avoidance of particular places, it could be avoidance of particular situations that they're constantly trying to avoid. That's when we start getting those alarm bells. Now, these signs may vary by age, but you know your child best. When you first have a baby, your very first one, and everyone and anyone has an opinion, they all tell you, you should be doing this, or this is how you should be doing that, and everybody tells you. Best piece of advice I received when I first had my daughter was actually a midwife. My daughter was only a few days old, and she said, listen, everyone's going to have an opinion. Doctors, nurses, family, friends are all going to tell you something. At the end of the day, all that matters is your intuition. You know your kid best. Follow your gut, follow your intuition. It's the same here. You know your kid. You know what's normal for them. You know what's not normal. And you can, what might be normal for one kid might not be for another kid. So just follow your gut, and if you feel that you need to follow up, follow up. Okay. So I'm going to throw some scenarios at you. And you're going to decide whether it's a red flag, you're going to wave an invisible red flag above your head, or whether you think it's normal developmental stuff. You're going to give me some thumbs up. Okay, so the first one is, my child says they have a stomach ache every Monday morning. What do we think, red flag or A-OK? We're seeing some red flags, some people aren't sure. We've got A-OK. Red flag. If you have a consistent sort of day, time, particular event, when they're always like, my stomach hurts, my head hurts, that kind of thing, it's a red flag. It's something we need to think about. My child doesn't want to talk about their day after school. What do we think? Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's normal, right?
It's completely normal.
I didn't talk to my parents till I was like an adult.
Gets worse. Yeah, it gets worse the older they get. Maybe when they're younger, they're like, I had a great day, I did this and I did that. And it's like, not good. So, yeah, very, very age appropriate. And again, this is all within a context, you know your kid best. Okay, next one. Avoids eye contact when speaking to adults. What do we think about that?
I think it's the age and...
In most cases, again, it's all contextual, but in most cases it's okay, it's normal, don't want to talk to you, or, if I make eye contact, you might make me want to say more, or they might just be eye contacted out from being at school all day, it's like, it's okay, or it might be a nervousness thing, like you're talking to me, so I'm not just going to make direct eye contact. And I speak to a lot of kids who say, it's hard for me to make eye contact. It's very intense, especially for these kids who nowadays do this a lot, right? Or they're on a computer. They don't have as much practice in this intensity of, face-to-face eye contact that we grew up with. Especially these kids who were born around the COVID time and spent a lot of time at home with minimal amount of people around them. So it is something that is, in most cases, okay. Okay, they express nervousness before a big test, but they recover afterwards. What do we think? All thumbs up, I'm seeing absolutely A-OK. All right. Refuses to participate in previously enjoyed extracurricular activity. What do you think? Oh, good. All right, A plus, everyone. It's a red flag for sure. Something they enjoy. And I don't mean like, oh, I don't like soccer anymore, I want to go play basketball. That's okay. It's all right to not enjoy a particular activity, but I mean, if they've lost their interest in activities that before were very important to them, that's definitely a red flag. Has occasional difficulty concentrating during homework time. Yeah, that's pretty much expected. Yeah? Losing a bit of focus during homework time. Exhibits consistent sleep disturbances without an apparent reason. Oh, good. All right, we have a red flag. Becomes upset when routines are disrupted, but adapts over time to them. All right, okay. Frequently seeks reassurance about everyday situations. Red flag. If it's consistent, it's that word there, consistently, frequently seeks reassurance. Shows reluctance to attend social events, but goes when encouraged. Yeah, good. Last one. Experiences sudden outbursts of anger or irritability without clear triggers. Red flags, good. Definitely red flags. Now, all of these could be signs depending on their context. Obviously, it's all within context. Keep an eye on the intensity of these things. Keep an eye on the frequency of them, and also keep an eye on the impact. Is it affecting their friendships? Is it affecting their grades? Is it affecting their day-to-day life? I told you I was going to say it a lot. Okay. Okay. So we're looking at developmentally normal and when to worry. That kind of just puts together what we've just discussed. It is divided by grade and age, but it's not as fixed. Okay, so it's just things that we need to be aware of. So obviously, being more emotionally sensitive, that's kind of typical when those hormones start, kicking in, and they're starting to question who they are and what they are. They're growing interest in friendships, but then later on, there starts to be more issues with friendships and peer influence, especially as they're moving to middle school, which I know a lot of you kids are at the moment. So there are more issues that are normal. They do get to the point of they're socially comparing themselves to other people. That can be normal. They're talking about their body. They're more abstract thinking, the body image concerns. They're testing their limits more and more the older they get. And that's normal. There are going to be shifts in their thinking, in their self-reflections, in their emotions. There's going to be shifts in their social life. There's a lot of changes that happens at this age, and a lot of hormonal shifts which happen. So moodiness and self-consciousness and peer focus, they're all normal. But the issues we have is with those frequent body changes where they've got headaches and stomach aches and things like, oh, I can't go to school today, my throat hurts again, and it's like something that's consistent. So avoiding school or crying very often is a worry. Sudden change in their grades or in school. If you're starting to hear from the teachers, again, it's all how they, hi, come on in. Do sign in, so you can earn his pass. Where was I? Some drop in grades. Yeah, so if you're getting reports from the teacher which aren't normal to what you've been getting before, that's when we get those red flags again. Changes in sleep patterns. All of a sudden they're waking up a lot, or maybe they can't fall asleep, or maybe they're waking up very early. Changes in appetite. All of a sudden they're avoiding meals. Persistent low mood, anxiety, interfering with daily tasks. Okay. So, coping strategies. Just hang this up on the wall, and that will sort it out. No, please don't use that. So those of you who came to the executive functioning skill workshop, we already covered some of these, but I'm going to go over a couple of them again. Deep breathing is very, very powerful when we catch things earlier on. So we've got smell the flower, blow out the candle. There's so many different ones. Smell the flower, blow out the candle. So they pretend that their finger is, first of all, flower. Now when we smell a flower, we don't sort of, we want to take in a deep breath. We want to take in the smell, so we take in nice deep breaths from our stomachs. And then I don't like how they call it blow out the candle, because it's blow at the candle, not out. We don't want to blow out the candle, because when we blow out the candle, we'll just go. So we want to try and blow at the candle and not blow it out, so this becomes a candle. So it's a much slower breath. There's lots of other ones that we have. We've got box breathing, so that's where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 4, and you hold for 4. So we're going to try that together. So we're going to breathe in for 4, hold, and then you repeat that for about a minute. Triangle breathing, very, very similar. In for 3, hold for 3, out for 3. Finger breathing, I love that one because they breathe in as they go up, they hold, and then they breathe out as they go down. Lots of different ones, you can Google it. There's literally hundreds of them. There's duck breathing, there's like all different ones. Grounding techniques are really good as well. As you saw in that clip before, where Riley's mind was completely out of control and their anxiety was just running amok in her brain, grounding is where we take our brain out of that emergency mode and connect it back with our senses, back to the physical environment, just to get us back. That's where Joy went in there and sort of tried to get her back. So a couple of grounding techniques that you could use are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So can I have a volunteer? I'm not going to do anything bad to you. Promise? All right, come on up. All right. Thank you, Jen. All right. Jen, I want you to tell me 5 things you can see.
Okay. I can see the sun shining. I can see a table. I can see chairs. I see smiling faces. And I see blue walls.
Thank you. All right, tell me 4 things you can touch. You don't need to touch them.
Okay.
Just something that's close enough, whatever it is, for you to be able to touch.
I can touch my lanyard. I can touch the books. I can touch the chairs. I can touch the windows. And I can touch the desk.
Okay, 3 things you can hear.
Here, I hear chimes from someone's phone. I hear the air conditioning unit. And I hear your voice.
Okay. 2 things you can taste.
I can taste.
Sorry, 2 things you can smell. Sorry.
I can smell the cleaning product that were used by the nice janitress that was here earlier. And I can smell, I don't know.
Can't just smell anything over that. It's quite right. And 1 thing you can taste.
I can taste the gum that I had.
Okay, thank you so much. Right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your 5 senses. It's just connected with the 5 senses. The other one is rainbow. So it's tell me something you can see that's red. I see that window frame, and then you go through the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You can go on with it. Some kids like to go on with gray and black and brown and things like that. It's all about getting them to connect with the environment, and that gets them grounded again. It doesn't mean that they stop panicking. It doesn't mean that they stop having a big feeling, but it stops that intensity that we saw in that clip and just gets them back so that they're able to then go for a walk or engage in a conversation or do something else. Now, if you think about a firework, when we let it off in the sky, it goes boom, then it falls to the ground. If you were to go over to that firework and pick it up, what's it going to feel like? Hot. It's going to be really hot still. So just because that moment of explosion has ended doesn't mean they're not still hot and can, start again. So the conversation might need to happen later, but at that particular point, it's just about getting them grounded again so we can just get that whirlwind that we saw inside our head to stop. Journaling works for some kids. For some, they don't want to do that. There's apps that you can journal on, or there's good old-fashioned books if some kids still like paper and pencil. Drawing, for some kids, that can be really, really powerful to just draw. Movement and exercise, whether they're going off for a walk, whether they're going to do a video, whether they're going to play a particular sport, that can really help. And sleep routines and screen limits can be really powerful as well. Alright, so the importance of parent support. So this is the resilience tree. So what we want to do is ground them with coping techniques, lots and lots and lots of coping techniques and tools and tricks. And we want to give them routines. If we ground them with all these routines and coping mechanisms, then as they grow up, then we're hoping to get that confidence and that flexibility to deal with the wind and the rain, which is life basically. The other thing we could do for them is set something like a quiet corner. So a calm corner or a quiet corner is a place in your house that you decide to set up. You decide what goes there. The kid can decide where it is, or you decide together, and you can decide how to set it up. It's basically to make them feel safe. You can decide what goes there. It could be pillows, it could be blankets, there could be music, there could be a journal, there could be calming toys, there could be sensory toys, you could put fidgets in there. I like to put a screaming pillow, so instead of yelling at somebody else or just run around the house screaming, just to have like a pillow, yell as hard as you want. I don't know, like a little drum set, whatever they like, whatever will help them get rid of those big feelings can be really helpful. There could be feeling charts, there could be books, there could be yoga books, there could be breathing cards to help them with some of those breathing exercises that we talked about before. Really important, if you're going to use breathing exercises in yoga, practice it when they're not anxious and they're not in the moment of the big feeling. When they're really calm, we practice it and practice it and practice it and practice it some more, so that when they're having a big feeling, we go, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they know what you're talking about. Because otherwise, when they're in that big moment, they're not going to start telling you about the rainbow colors, or it's like, what are you talking about? Because you're trying to teach them at the wrong time. You want to teach it to them when they're calm, and then when the moment comes, okay, we're going to journal. Okay, we're going to, do you want to do grounding or do you want to do breathing? Do you want to use your journal or do you want to go for a walk? We can give them those options because we've set those up. It's basically giving them healthy ways to cope with their big feelings and then get them to reset. The other thing that's really important is we want to really encourage autonomy. We don't want to fix it for them. We want to guide them through it. And that's why I'm saying it's better to say to them, what works for you? Do you prefer to do this or this? We can teach them lots of different techniques and then ask them what works for them. How can you resolve this problem? You're having a really big feeling right now. How can we resolve it? I'm really worried about this exam and worrying about it excessively. Okay, what do you want to do? Rather than say, oh, I'll go and email your teacher. I'll go and do this and I'll fix all of this. It's how do you want to do it? Do you want me to help you write an email together? Do you want to write an email and then show it to me and then we'll talk about it? We want to try and build that autonomy so they get to the point where they catch themselves when they're having these feelings and they can manage it themselves. We want to model calm. So when our children are dysregulated, we need to share our calm rather than join their chaos. So as much as possible, and as hard as it can be sometimes, we just need to model that for them as much as can be. We want to normalize mistakes and model coping with handling some of these mistakes. And growth mindset. I'm very big on growth mindset. Any kid who's walked through my door will probably tell you that I've talked to them about growth mindset. It's the difference between the fixed mindset of I can't cope, I can't do this, I'm going to fail this exam, I'm no good at math. Fixed mindset. Growth mindset is math is really hard for me, I'm going to keep working at it. This test is really challenging, I'm going to give it my best. It's not saying, oh, I'm great at everything, but it's just knowing that there's a potential for growth, there's a potential for change, because otherwise if you just say, well, I'm no good at this, what's the point of trying? I can't do this, I'm not even going to give it a try. So it's just about building that growth mindset. It's not something that comes overnight. There are students I've worked with for months and months and months before we get anywhere with it, but they get there and the difference in their ability to manage their emotions is huge. It's so big. They go from, this is the worst thing in the world, to, I'm having a really hard time right now. And I know I'm having a really hard time, but I also know that I know how to get past this. And I know I'm going to be okay later. And that's very, very powerful. Just remember, you don't have to have the answers to everything. Just your calm presence is really important. Okay. So zones of regulation, there's lots and lots of different ones. This is one I actually have in my office. The kids love it. I had like 2 or 3 different ones. This is the one they kept going to. Puts a visual in place for them. You can have it in the calm corner. You can have it somewhere else in the house. But you can print it off. You can order it on Amazon or Temu or whatever it is. You know, there's so many of them. But they can see what zone they're in. They can see what feeling they have. And the nice thing about this particular one is depending on which zone they're in, there's different recommendations for what they can do that's more appropriate to that. And I literally have students coming into my office and okay, and they won't even talk to me. They'll just go straight to it. I want to do the zones right now. And just being able to say, I'm feeling really, and then I go, I don't want to give them any words. I always let them choose for themselves. And they might look angry, but then once they look at it, they go, I'm actually really worried about something. I'm really worried. So, I'm in the orange zone. I'm not in the red zone. They might come in thinking they're in a particular zone, or they'll go, actually, I'm really sad about something that happened with my friends. And they'll be able to just being able to label it is so powerful for them. Some of our students even have individual ones in their desks that they use more regularly if they need it more regularly. So, key messages that I want you to take away from today. Emotions are not problems to fix, but they're signals for us to understand. If we do see any of those red flags, we do want to speak to someone. You can speak to a pediatrician, speak to a school psychologist, you can speak to the counselor, you can speak to somebody. Therapist, we can always give advice and help. I know it's really hard to get mental health supports out in the community. It's just so many people are trying to get them. We can guide you, we can help you along with these processes as well. Stress is not always bad. It's okay for sometimes for them to be stressed. It's just learning how to manage that stress and how to put it within context. And you are the most important person. You are their regulator, their co-regulator, should I say. And you're their emotional coach through all this. And remember, you don't need to fix. You just need to be present. That supportive presence can go a long way. Just what's one thing you can ask them, how are you feeling? Rather than just assuming, oh, you're so stressed, or you're so angry, or you tell me how you're feeling. You tell me what you need right now. Maybe they need a hug. Maybe it's like, do not touch me right now. I don't need that. So having that conversation is really important. So I want you to think for yourself, just for a moment, just one thing that you want to try over the coming week. Just one small thing that you want to try. Anybody's willing to share? I'd love to hear. You don't have to. I'm not forcing anyone, but does anybody like to share something that they would like to try? Reading exercise with their kid, poster, setting up a calm area, having a conversation.
I'm going to try breathing exercises with my child.
Okay. Any that you think they would particularly like?
I know she brought home the finger trick, so that's something we can practice when she's having a good time, so that we can pull it out when necessary.
And you probably have like other kids who are different ages as well. If you Google it, there are different breathing exercises that are a little more specific to different ages. So obviously you're not going to have a junior walking around going, that's not going to suit them. So there are ones that are more suitable for your older kids, and there's, like the duck one is more suitable for like your little kids. So there's just different things. Some of them can be very subtle. Actually, another one that's really powerful. I used to have a college professor who used to do this. Has anybody ever seen this? So it's basically you just tap each of your fingers and then backwards and forwards. And you can do it really subtly down here. You could be in a meeting. And we used to think this professor was wonderfully confident, would always speak in front of us, and then she would tell us that she's actually the most nervous speaker and that none of us had ever noticed, but she was doing this every time she would speak to us. She would be standing there doing this. And it's just so subtle. And they could do it under their desk. No one has to see, no one has to know. Their friends don't have to know. there's so many different things we can guide them to do that won't be too embarrassing for them. So some helpful tools and resources for you. So there's some great books out there. There's The Yes Brain by Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson. I love Daniel Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson. Anything they write, I recommend. I have this one actually. It's a whole brain child. It's not just about anxiety, but what I love about it is it's really thin. It doesn't have too much technical information. You know, when you open a book and you're like a few pages in and you're like, I don't have time or patience for this. This is just going too deeply. It's divided up pretty nicely. It's got lots of resources in there. This is fabulous. Another couple of books are Anxious Kids, Anxious Parents. That's a nice one as well. This one is Reed Wilson and Lynn Lyons. That's a good one. The other one is Helping Your Anxious Child. This is a step-by-step guide for parents. And it's written by a bunch of PhD and psychologists. So that's a really good one as well that I recommend. Another couple of recommendations would be there's some great websites. You've got a couple of options on there. As I said, I'm giving you a copy of these. So understood.org and Childmind are really good. Go Zen is a great resource as well. So it's got like a toolbox of animated and live videos that you can connect with. They've got courses, they've got worksheets, they've got printables, and you get everything that you need to help your child or your teen to build resiliency. And it's in a format that's designed specifically to speak to them. So it's very kid-friendly. Headspace for Kids, you might have heard of Headspace, which is like an adult website, but they have made a Headspace for Kids. So it's a section of the same website, and it's designed specifically for kids, and it's actually divided into sections. You've got your under 5s, you've got your 6 to 8s, and you've got your 9 to 12, and you can choose the theme that you want. So there's kindness, there's sleep, there's managing big feelings, it's got lots of breathing exercises, grounding techniques. It's got lots of ideas in there that you can follow as well. Perform Care is a New Jersey-based behavioral health provider. They're really wonderful. You can call them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If there is some sort of a crisis, or if your child is just consistently having concerns with panic, with anxiety, maybe you're concerned about some depression, and you want to speak to someone, you can give them a call. They send somebody out to the house, they will interview you, they will interview the child, and then we'll decide whether they're recommending some therapy. If they do, they put someone into the home for about 8 to 10 weeks. And then they make a decision whether they need more, and maybe they'll refer out, or they will guide you through the whole process. They're just a wonderful resource. They do other things. They have sections on the website. They specialize in intellectual and developmental disabilities. They also have some sections about substance use and treatment. So they're definitely worth checking out. What else do we have up there? Yeah, we've covered all of it. Then you've got your local mental health supports as well, which, as I said, if you ever need guidance and support, you can speak to your pediatrician, you can speak to us, you can speak to your child's counselor, and we're always happy to help. Okay, so that's it for my part. Thank you for coming and for listening to everything I had to say. I do want to open up to questions. If I can ask you all to either scan the QR code and answer these 2 very simple questions for me. It takes 2 seconds. It's just a 1 to 5. How knowledgeable do you feel about stress and anxiety, and how equipped do you feel? If you prefer, I have them in paper forms. I'm happy to pass out the paper versions. I also have a copy of the slides and the notes that we went through today. You also all get a wonderful circle bottle to take home. Apparently it's a thing. Don't ask me because I don't really know about this, but it is a thing. It's like you put these sachets in and it flavors the water, and I don't know, kids go crazy for them. So you all get to take one of those home for coming here today. And all your kids also get a homework pass for the parents being here today. So it made them very happy just by being here. But I just want to open it up to any questions.
You said in the beginning with the they rose up, the numbers went to 25% or something, and we've done all this research on how to help them cope and everything. Has done any research to why the kids nowadays have so much stress and anxiety compared to my nephews or nieces that are in their 20s or even older than that?
So a lot of the research that came out
Was
before
causing
COVID was very much pointing to, and I'm pretty sure this won't surprise you, that it has to do with social media and with screens in general. That was found as a really big issue. Since COVID itself has come to blame for a big part of it. It was very traumatic for our kids, whatever age they were. Think about a baby born into COVID. When we had kids, they get passed around from person to person, and everybody is cooey, and they're talking to them, and all of a sudden they're born into a household where it's just their family, and then it's like, don't touch the baby, and wash your hands, and wear a mask, and then you've got younger kids who are still learning to speak, and everyone is covered up with masks, and all of a sudden we're scared all the time, and you have to wash your hands, and anxiety was built in through COVID with the way that we had to live our life. We had to stand far away from people. In my kids' school, they had to hold like these sticks between each other to make sure they were 6 feet apart when they're sitting down. They tried to take them outside as much as possible, so they would use these sticks. That's a very different way of growing up. You're a lot more anxious. Kids missed out on so many things. School trips, graduations, they had like makeshift graduations. They weren't the same. Things they were building up their whole life. We have a whole generation of kids who have had a very traumatic, very life-changing event in their life. And that's very much an issue. And what happened during COVID? Kids were on computers more. Whether it was for school, all of a sudden don't be on your computer too much. All of a sudden it's go sit on your computer for 6 hours. Go do all your work on a computer. Go stare at a screen all day long. How do you talk to your friends? Well, you're not allowed to go near them. Text your friends. We're all of a sudden encouraging them to do all the things that were causing the increased anxiety before COVID, and now all of a sudden their whole life revolved around it. So those are the two main issues that we have.
So we do.
We do, yes,
Yeah,
we
so
do. Yeah.
Okay.
The research is still going on. Research will always keep going on. But yeah, they're two of our main concerns.